Hello, hello, hello. Welcome from wherever you are in the world to yet another edition of Boxed 1 Year Later. In this series, we've been reaching out to some of the boxed dancers and trying to catch up with them to find out what they've been doing this past year since they created that 2-minute boxed submission. Well, this edition, we go to the US of A and to the state of California. This time last year, just like the rest of the world, Californians were also locked in. And can you imagine California without those bouncy beach bodies and the wineries and people always in such great, their tans and their yoga bodies? Well, Californians didn't have that opportunity 1 year ago. So today we're talking to three artists. And we begin with a young lady who is negotiating the door.
Dhin, 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 tak, 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 dhin, 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 tak, tak, dhin, 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 tak, tak, dhin, 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 tak, tak, dhin, tak, tak, dhin, 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 tak, tak, dhin, 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 tak, tak, dhin, 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 tak. Dhin, dhin, tarikita dhin, dhin, tarikita dhin, dhin, ta, kita ta, kita ta. Tat te ya, kita tat, tat ta, kita ta. Tat ta kita tak, tak kita ta, tak kita tak, 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 tak kita tak, 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 tak kita tarikita. Samagama padanisa, sanida pamagarisa, samagama padanisa, sanida pagarisa, samagama padanisa, pamagarisa. Teruvil varanu, teruvil varanu, என்னை சற்று திரும்பி பாரானு.
Hello, Archana Raja, superstar. Welcome back to Boxed 1 year later. And tell me now, you've had a very busy year ever since Boxed. So just bring us up to speed. What have you done since that Boxed video? Remember, you were in Boxed 1.0, Archana. And tell me, watching this video, and would you have done it differently? Choosing the same location, would you have done some things differently? What do you think?
First of all, thanks, Anita. It's so wonderful to see you, meet you online after like almost a year now. And I think I was, yes, part of, and I cannot even imagine that it's been a year since Box passed because time flies. And yes, what is a pandemic year? What is 1 year during a pandemic? We have no clue, I think. For me, I think it was a bold, bold step. Like you always forced me to do all these challenging things, and I think I just took it at that point of time. My state of mind was so different, and I think the boxed edition, if I think about it right now, that was probably the best thing that happened in the pandemic year because you introduced us to dancing on camera. I don't think I would have considered that option any time in my life. And I think being in the first edition, I was quite intimidated by the entire initiative. And I am sure now I think I'll be very different in the way I handle camera because I think now it's so much more happens behind your shoulder when you're dancing for the camera. And I think I'm very thankful that I was a part of it and you introduced me to that. And I was fascinated by the other artists who were a part of the box series that time. And that was, I think, for me, a knock in my head to say that, hey, you know what, there is so much more than the stage and to dancing on stage. And And I'm thankful for that opportunity, definitely.
Well, you were also in Anda's garden 6 months later, and you had already, developed a much better sense of camera and the editing. So I know that you've already made progress, huge strides in performance for camera. But right now, you're not in California, you're in New York. So tell me about your project in my former hometown, the Big Apple.
Yes, I'm being a part of Mahabharata. They are Navatman, one of the biggest companies in New York for Indian classical dance and music, is organizing this huge project. They're filming the first part of Mahabharata, and I am getting to play a very powerful character. I don't think I want to reveal my character yet, but as a part of it, we are training in Kalari and other martial arts. And because it's a story of a warrior at the end of the day, I think it's very, very interesting to understand how all this is going to be converted into the medium of film. And we are going to go upstate next week, and it's going to be 2 intense weeks of shooting. And I'm here almost for a month, and I'm starting to slowly like New York much better than California. So, I'm also getting to meet very diverse artists from different parts of United States, and I'm very glad. I think I went through infinite emotions when I had to first pick this project up after a year. It was a year, first time traveling. I was very nervous. It was a full flight from California to New York. And since then, it's been an intense 2 weeks of practice and just getting back to dancing in a studio, from a living room. And I think it is a very emotional moment for me as an artist that I'm able to do this. And I'm very, very thankful that I'm healthy.
Yes, I think that's it, because you're also a new bride. You're not even married for 2 years now. And look, the boldness and the sense of adventure, you know that I gave you a lot of that confidence in the work we did together in Nachiyar. And I hope you carry that with you, that spirit, because that surrendering to new adventures and new process is so rewarding. And never mind the final result, but you will always find something to grow as an artist. And I think that's really important. I'm going to wish you all the best, Archana. We look forward to your digital warrior presence. The Mahabharata is such a masculine, work, and they tend to ignore the women except Draupadi. But yeah, all the very best, and stay safe and stay healthy. By the time the Boxed America edition was broadcast, it was already the end of June, early July, and the world was beginning to open up, and so did California. And can you imagine California without sun, sand, and surf? Well, our next featured artist, Rohith, chose to run out to the beach and film his spoken word piece for Boxed.
There is more to a prison than the walls of metal and brick. Sometimes they are self-made more than they are man. Put up by my own 2 hands, pretending there is safety in solitude when all it has produced was fear. I feel trapped, whether inside my mind or my body. I need a piece of reality to touch me, to remind my feet how to stand and what it meant to feel music on my skin. This is how I shake down the foundation and find the light between the cracks. Fill in the darkness I let slip in and drown it out in dance. The ocean teaches me to never stop pushing. I may not be able to move the earth, but I can crash into it and smooth out even the roughest of my edges. I want to be more like water, fluid in the way I move, feel, and think. Because it's only when I'm trapped on land do I feel like I'm drowning.
Rohith, welcome back a year later to Boxed. You know, I loved your piece because you chose a sound design of spoken word. And I'm wondering why you made that choice, because it was a very unusual choice when we think of what the other artists chose.
The main reason was because I was not able to find a proper audio.
Well, that's a good reason. Crisis brings opportunity. I always say that.
Yeah, and also it's easier for me to put out my thoughts in movement rather than completely banking on the audio.
Yeah.
So it was easier, like it was a very easier choice to make because I've done some spoken words before, and those were only those have only made my life easier, rather than with emotions and translating the words to actual movements. So that's the reason I chose spoken words.
Well, it was so great, to see this body just leaping on the sand. And it was like, that freedom that we all were wanting to experience at various parts of the world. And it was a very lovely 2 minutes. And I know that that piece of yours has resonated with many people who watched it. But tell us, what have you been doing for the past 12 months since Boxed? Tell us quickly.
I think Boxed opened up so many inspiring thoughts in my mind for sure, because I was not able to move a lot before Boxed because there was no reason to move. Like there was not someone pushing you, or there was nothing happening. Like, so we were in a standstill. So since Boxed, I have been inspired so much by so many different artists after seeing so many versions of how Boxed has been perceived by different artists. So after that, I started watching a lot of YouTube videos, and I got a lot of inspiration from them, and I've been trying to move as much as possible, and slowly the studios are opening up, so I'm relearning, reinventing whatever I've been doing before. So that's exactly what I've been doing for the past 1 year.
That's great, because a lot of artists have used this time to go deeper into either research and thought and practice. And maybe, your body is going to move differently, after this year of pandemic, because there's an emotional response now to this very prolonged kind of quarantine and this lack of socializing. So I'm going to look forward to whatever you're going to put out. Please continue to stay in touch with us and share your work with us. But I want you to be safe, and I want to wish you all the best from the Nartaki team. Our third artist made a very unusual choice. She's a dancer, but she's also a doctor. Pranamya picked the hospital ward. And for this past year, hospitals, vaccines, illness, recovery, surrendering to the illness, the loss, grief, so much has been on our mind. But 12 months ago, when she picked this as a location to present her emotions, and by bringing together the disciplines of dance and medicine, Pranamya created a very moving video. Watch.
असतो मा सद्गमय तमसो मा ज्योतिर्गमय मृत्युर्माय अमृतं गमय मृत्युर्माय अमृतं गमय
Welcome back, Pranamya. And it's so lovely to have you. I can't tell you that when all of us were watching the video and the response with other people who watched it, so people were very moved. I remember that scene in the shower, you know, of you just, and you have maybe had the experience of losing somebody or somebody that you couldn't save. And we've had so much of it since then. So tell me, how was it even making that video for you? Because now you're looking at it 1 year later, and so much has happened in California, probably before your very eyes.
Yeah, actually, thank you so much for having me here. It's such a privilege to be with everyone and the rest of the artists here. So dance and medicine initially had this synergistic relationship in my life. I would take what I learned from dance, that, try again, don't give up, keep going, and apply it to medicine, and then take what medicine, taught me, and then apply it to dance. But during the pandemic, there was a point where I felt like I was struggling. I was struggling because we felt helpless as healthcare workers, and I think Boxed really. I don't like conflict. I'm someone who tries to avoid conflict, but I think Boxed really made me look head on as to what was going inside, and I think whatever came out was something very honest and something that I felt. Usually, I feel like when we dance, or what we're taught as we're learning dance, is to portray a character or portray an incident that happened or that we learned about. But this time, I think it was a chance for me to really look into myself and see what was going on. And it was a portrayal of the struggle. It was a very honest portrayal of the struggle that I was going through. We did lose a lot of people, and then I didn't experience a quarantine period because our quarantine was at work. I mean, we would go to work. It was just kind of a really heavy air, something that I can't really explain through words, so I tried to do it through dance. And I think the whole process it was more than just a 2-minute piece for me. I think it was very therapeutic, and I think that it really created this snowball effect as to what I could do about it. So I'm really happy to hear that it did move some people, but I think for me, it had a really big impact on me. So thank you, Anitaka, for creating these series and for pushing us beyond our limits and making us think, really. So thank you.
Well, yeah, but the thing is, this whole year, have you been spending more time as a doctor and maybe less time as a dancer? Just tell me how your year has been.
Yeah, so that's another, thing that has been going on. I mean, I see everyone performing online and everything, but unfortunately, because of the demands that we have at work, I am at work, and right now I'm on a very busy rotation, and I do still keep my relationship with dance. I still practice on a daily basis. I take classes. I've kind of cut down on performing and doing online things and kind of really focusing on my own personal growth and just practice. And then also with work too, because it's kind of like I'm needed there, and I'm just trying to be there, and it's been hard, but I think at the same time I'm so thankful for having dance in my life because I can come home and I have the space that I can, where I'm not judged, where I'm not worried about um, presentation or anything. It's just like I can come home, put some music on and just move. And it is
Yeah.
something I think box has taught me that, and I started doing that more after box. This unchoreographed, just dance, just dancing your heart out, and it has been really therapeutic. I think that itself has made me grow a little bit. So.
Well, that's great. You frontline workers are doing such amazing work, and we're so delighted that you are part of the Boxed team. And so now you're part of the Boxed family and part of the Nartaki family. So I want you to make sure that you stay in touch with us. And of course, you and your mother produced that lovely Andal series during Margari, which we also did. So I know you have had some input and some deep engagement with dance. I don't think it'll ever leave you, but I want to wish you all the best with a double delight. So stay well, and I hope we can meet soon. So there you have it. You heard all the three artists from California share their emotions and their appreciation for what Boxed did for them, what that opportunity did to actually unbox all their ideas about dance and performance and choreography and appearance. Because what we asked them to do was just to be themselves. And we want to thank all these three artists and, of course, wish them all the best. And thank you for joining us for yet another edition of Boxed 1 Year Later. Until next time, I'll see you then.